Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. The Philadelphia 76ers are the hungriest team in the NBA right now with the most to prove, and everybody hates us. We're the absolute villains. And this is my video to say the Philadelphia 76ers are the team to beat in the Eastern Conference this year. And I want to get into it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the family, the community, the whole thing, because this is going to be a long season, ladies and gentlemen. A long season. Shout out to everybody that comes out to the live streams. We're on the verge of getting monetized right now. We like that. That's good news around here in the channel. So let's get into it. James Harden has more to prove than any player in the NBA. And I am not exaggerating when I say that. The guy has had a rough reputation for the last 15, 16 months. He's never won anything in his life. He almost had it in Houston against the super team in Golden State. Chris Paul went down. He lost it. He's had some really, really bad playoff performances. But since then, in his days in Houston, he's been a really great playoff player. That's one. Joel Embiid wants to win more than anybody I've ever seen in my entire life, across any sport in my entire life. That man wants to die for this city. He wants to win a championship for this city more than anybody ever. It's on some Damian Lillard type but instead, he actually does what he has to do. Then Dame. No knock to Dame. I love Dame, but you get it. You guys get the whole Dame thing. Daryl Morey has never won a championship. Daryl Morey's made some great moves in his career, but a lot of people are like, oh, he's never going to get it done. He's a guy who gets top 15 guys and they can never win. Daryl Morey wants to win to prove everybody wrong. He really, really does. He's never won a championship in his life, and he's been doing this a long time. Doc Rivers has blown more 3-1 playoff leads than anybody in NBA history. This Philadelphia 76ers team wants to win more than anybody in the NBA. It's not even close. We are the villains. Everybody hates watching us. The Sixers shoot too many free throws. The games are 3 hours long. Harden can't do anything. He's a foul merchant. He's out of shape. He left Brooklyn. He does this. He does that. Joel Embiid, he's a foul merchant. Oh my God, if he got the calls that Jokic got, he would be putting up 14 points a game. It's so easy to draw fouls in the NBA, when in reality, drawing fouls in the NBA is one of the more difficult arts. It's not very easy to do. You know why Joel Embiid draws so many fouls? It's because he is so goddamn dominant in the paint and on the perimeter that there is nothing the defense can do except foul. And the beautiful part of that is that James Harden gives him the easiest looks now. The man had 16 assists yesterday, and the thing is that Embiid can either dunk on you, put an easy layup, or you're going to have to foul. And that's exactly what New York did yesterday. They were all arms. They reached in on everything. They hacked the shit out of the players on the Sixers. And you know what? Nobody else on Twitter can understand that because they just love to hate. But you know what? Bring in the hate, ladies and gentlemen. Hungry dogs run faster. This team is just like the Eagles. Everybody hated us. Nobody believes we can do it. But you know what? They did it. I believe in this Sixers team more than I've ever believed in any team I've ever rooted for in my entire life. This is the most excited I've ever been as a Sixers fan because I truly believe the Sixers are the best team in the Eastern Conference. And I know what you're going to say. It's 2 games in. It's 2 games in. Right. But they're plus 47 in those 2 games. The Knicks game, that Knicks team played the best game they've played literally all year. I mean, they couldn't have played that game any better, except down in the fourth quarter in the stretch if they hit a couple more open shots. But outside of that, the Knicks were flawless. They really were flawless. And you know what? I wasn't afraid for a second because the moment the fourth quarter rolls around and we get Embiid and Harden back in, there's absolutely nothing the other team can do. We have the best pick and roll in the NBA. We have the best duo in the NBA. Not only do we have the best duo in the NBA, but the fit between those 2 guys is perfect. They're both half-court preferred players who like to slow the game down, get the ball in their tempo, and draw fouls. If James Harden was a guard, if Joel Embiid was a guard, he would be James Harden. And if Harden would be a center, he would be Embiid. They're literally carbon copies of each other when it comes to how they play the game of basketball. They are geniuses. Their footwork is art. The way they manipulate defenses to draw fouls is better than anybody in this generation, and we have both of them. And the thing is, that's going to translate into playoff basketball. Playoff basketball slows down. It becomes a half-court oriented game. That's why the Sixers could not win with Ben Simmons. But now we have James Harden, who, contrary to popular belief, has been a phenomenal playoff player since his days in Houston. I mean, last year in Brooklyn, the man was dominant. He had like a 30-point triple-double he averaged in his 6 games in the playoffs. But no one's going to talk about that because he got hurt. And we're going to go crazy about that. But now even James Harden says there's one goal. He has nothing to prove. He's a great player. There's nothing to prove except to win a goddamn championship. And you can see it in Harden's eyes. You can see it in Embiid's eyes. And the way that Harden gets everybody around him to play so much better. The way Matisse Thybulle is playing basketball right now is incredible. Like, it's sincerely incredible. The dude's averaging 9.5 points per game in his first 2 games with Harden, which is beyond what I ever thought he could do. But he also runs baseline, and he's constantly running on cuts and off ball, and it's perfect. Harden constantly finds him for easy dunks, easy alley-oops, easy fast break layups, and Thybulle's defense has been phenomenal, guys. It's been phenomenal. He has been an absolute off-ball hawk. Harden's defense has been great. Now, I don't expect him to be putting up this type of defensive effort all year long. We're still in the honeymoon phase, but Harden's defense, what I'm trying to tell you guys is it's underrated. He's a better defender than a lot of people give him credit for. He's not a great on-ball defender. He's not a great perimeter defender, but he gets in the right spots at the right times, and I'll give him that. But we also have Joel Embiid, who had 4 blocks yesterday, I should say, and is one of the best defensive players in the NBA. And with Harden taking more of a toll on the offensive side, Embiid's going to be easier to take a bigger toll on the defensive side. It's incredible. The fit between those two guys is incredible. And when it comes down to what teams I'm afraid of in the Eastern Conference, I'm going to say none. I would say none. I would say if all goes well, and barring any injuries or any big setbacks, the Sixers should be the favorites in every single series that they played this year in the Eastern Conference playoffs. Now, do I say that by thinking they're going to 4-0 sweep every team? Absolutely not. The Eastern Conference is better this year than it's probably ever been in my lifetime. A lot of really, really good teams going from Milwaukee to maybe Brooklyn to Boston to Toronto's always sneaky to Miami to Cleveland. There's a lot of good talent in the NBA and Eastern Conference. That being said, I'm not afraid of Cleveland. I think that's a 4-0 sweep simply because they cannot stop Joel Embiid. And we have the 2 best players on the court almost at all times against that team. I'm not afraid of the majority of NBA teams. When it comes to Brooklyn, I'm not afraid of Brooklyn because, A, I will believe it when I see it. You know, Kyrie and KD are incredible, but can they stay healthy? Will they be healthy? Are they going to be a play-in team? There's a lot of question marks, surrounding Brooklyn. And Ben Simmons, we all know how that man likes to play basketball in the playoffs. So I'm not worried about that at all. Worst case scenario, let's put Ben Simmons to the line 30 times in a Philadelphia home game and see how he handles the crowd there. Yeah, right. We're going to send that man right back into back spasms for the next year. There's no shot. I don't believe in Ben Simmons. I don't believe in the Brooklyn Nets. And I don't believe in Andre Drummond guarding Joel Embiid. Miami is a really good team. They're deep, and they probably have the guards to keep up with Harden, and they probably have the guys that can beat our backcourt. Deep down, I really probably believe that. They have a lot of switchy 3-and-D players. But I don't really believe that Bam Adebayo can stop Joel Embiid. And I also don't believe that anybody on the Heat is better than James Harden. So, by proxy, the Sixers have the 2 best players in that series. And you're not going to win a series against a team that you don't have the 2 best players in. If the other team has the 2 better players than anybody on your team, you lose that series. That's just simple and plain facts. Milwaukee is one of the tougher teams. They match up with Philadelphia a little bit better. Jrue Holiday can probably guard James Harden better than anybody else in the Eastern Conference. Chris Middleton's a better version of Tobias Harris. And Giannis can compete at the same exact level as Embiid. And he may be the only guy in the NBA that I actually can genuinely say that. That Giannis is probably the only guy, maybe Jokic, that can compete at the exact same level as Joel Embiid in the playoffs. And that's scary. But I don't really think that Giannis can guard Embiid. And I don't really think that Serge Ibaka or Bobby Portis can guard Embiid. And I also don't really think that they have a single guy on the planet in Milwaukee or the city of Milwaukee that can guard Tyrese Maxey. With Maxey playing the way he's playing right now, which is insane. I mean, he's averaging like 25 points a game in his first 2 games with James Harden, and he's just putting up in ridiculous efficient stat lines, and he's hitting open shots the way he's hitting them, the way that Harden has made him a better player. Tyrese Maxey's the X factor. Tyrese Maxey is such a strong reason as to why I think the Sixers are the best team in the Eastern Conference. And at the end of the day, if all goes well, I don't see why not the Sixers can't win this NBA championship this year. And I've never said that in a video. I've never said ever in my life that the Sixers could win an NBA Finals. But I genuinely believe the Sixers have what it takes this year. Of course, we still have a couple issues. The backup 5, I don't know why we're not playing Paul Reed or Charles Bassey. I would give those dudes minutes. And we probably could use some more shooting, a la Isaiah Joe. But Doc Rivers is going to Doc Rivers. And I just think with Harden and Embiid on the court at the same time, there's not a lineup another team can put out there that's better than the big 3 that we have. It's genuinely incredible. The amount of points that those three have put up in the first 2 games, the most ever since 1961. And it was like Wilt Chamberlain and stuff like that. So basically the most ever in history. This Sixers team is really, really good. It's really scary. The change of pace between Tyrese Maxey and James Harden is extremely underrated. The pick and roll between Harden and Embiid is already the best in the entire NBA. As long as we stay healthy, barring anything really, really bad that happens to this team, I don't see why the Sixers can't win the NBA championship this year. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, peace.